Hare Krishna, good evening, everybody. A bit quiet tonight. I guess it's because of the weather and the Christmas market, the Dickensian Christmas market, but it's a bit wet out there, so looks like I might have a quiet night, but you never know. It's more intimate, isn't it, when there's less people? It is.
More treats, right?
So more kitchery. Hare Krishna. Okay, so sorry, what was your name?
Danny.
Danny.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, Danny. Nice to meet. Thank you for coming. Okay, so you probably know about these programs and how they run. Yes, the usual. Some Kirtan, and then we have a class from His Grace Premaniketan, and then we have some Prasad, and another, well, maybe an Arati, if our local Brahmins feeling up to it. Yes. Okay, so quite a few people missing tonight, but we don't worry about them. Okay, so make a start then. Is everybody's okay? Yeah? Okay, so just a little bit about the chanting, just a little something before we hand over to. From a book called The Nectarian Ocean of the Holy Name. I'm going to read this just after we chanted, just a little bit about what this chanting does, etc., etc. Find something that's not in the middle of something. Because quite often these quotes come in the middle of something. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada, our Guru, confirmed that the nectar of Krishna's personal name outweighs all the other names. So there are many names and many mantras we can chant. Thousands, in fact, many mantras for different reasons. But the Hare Krishna Mahamantra has been invested with all the potency of everything else in this age in Kali Yuga. It's been given a special dispensation for, because we're so dull and we're so forgetful and we're so disturbed, yes, and processes of meditation are very difficult in this age of Kali, and everybody forgets stuff easily and nobody can focus for very long. Krishna and Lord Chaitanya have made it very, very simple to achieve the highest stage of consciousness and the highest stage of perfection in this very life very easily, just by chanting this Maha Mantra. That's all we have to do, actually. And all this other stuff, Srila Prabhupada said, all these temples, all these books, all this paraphernalia, all these beautiful pictures, everything else are there for one reason. That's to help us to chant. That's what he said. I mean, they're all very nice, but the important thing is chanting, right? That's the Yuga Dharma, that's the process. We've been given very simple 3 words. That's all we have to do. Krishna couldn't have made it any easier. This chanting of Hare Krishna, you can chant the whole day and the whole night and dance, and you'll never get tired of it. We can confirm that, I think. Yes? How long have we been chanting this mantra for? 45 years? Probably longer.
No, 44 years.
About the same. Yeah. No. This gets better and better, doesn't it? The nectar keeps coming and gets increasing, actually. It's amazing, isn't it? It's quite a phenomenal thing. But take another name just after half an hour finished. It is botheration. Yes, the Prabhupada said that. So we chant Coca-Cola, for example. How long can you chant Coca-Cola from and experience this blissful state, you know? It's not going to happen. You'll see it's this transcendental sound vibration. It's a spiritual sound. It's not material, like all the other things. So we just have to remember how important it is. Very often we get distracted very easily by our own minds, mostly. That's the thing that distracts us the most. Or our mobile phones, or whatever it may be. But things distract us. The whole point is that we have to make sure we focus on this chanting as much as we possibly can and don't get distracted. Don't give in to the mind is the important thing to remember, because the whole process of yoga is to control the mind, right? So that's the easiest way and the best way to do it. So, and we can experience that when we're doing what we've just been doing. So, not that it's easy to do that 24 hours a day. So, anyway. So please, just take this chanting, carry on doing it. Don't give in to the mind. Don't get deceived by your own mind, because your own mind will try and deceive you, distract you. It's very important. It's the most important thing in the whole universe. There's nothing more important, actually. So meditate on that. It's quite amazing. And it expands and expands and expands and expands. So thank you very much for chanting. That was very nice. And I'll hand you over now to His Grace Premaniketan. And I think we continue Bhagavad Gita, right? Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Doug. Are you alright?
Yeah.
Good, nice to see you.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Varna Shankara. Arjuna is talking. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. And now we are coming to the tail end of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where in the beginning of the verse 2 to up to 21, the description of the battlefield. Who is fighting from what side? Yeah, there's a vivid description of that. The Sanjaya kind of narrates, so he could see the battlefield from the palace of the king, and from there he could have a vision of what's happening at the battlefield. And Vyasadeva, he gave that vision. And then from there on, from the verse 22nd up to the end, Arjuna speaks all the way. What is important lesson to learn is that from the verse 22nd till the end, the verse 46, if I'm not wrong, the verse 46, Krishna did not utter a word. Yeah? If you're talking to... So at this point, Krishna and Arjuna were friends. If two friends are talking, it's quite difficult to finish a sentence before your friend interrupts. Hang on, let me say something as well. And Arjuna knew that Krishna is all powerful. Arjuna knew that Krishna is all intelligent. Even before he spoke, Krishna knew what he's going to speak. Yet Krishna patiently, silently heard him. That's an extremely important quality of a devotee, is to pay all attention. Because urge to speak is so powerful. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport to the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, he says that when we have urge to speak, we croak like a frog. And when the frogs in the rainy season, when they croak, what happens? Who do they invite? They invite snakes who come and devour them. So when we use our urge to speak potency in the wrong way, we invite basically Maya in our lives. Because when we have urge to speak, if we have nothing else to speak, and we don't have urge to speak about Krishna consciousness, or what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, pastimes of Krishna, we just utter nonsense. Vacha vegam manasha krodha vegam jiva vegam udarupastha vegam etan vegan yo vishahet dhira sarvam pimam prithvim shashishyat. Vacha vegam manasa krodha vegam. Vach, speech. If our speech is not controlled, the urge to speak is not controlled, mind will never be controlled. The rule of thumb in professional life is that you count from 5 to 1 before you speak. So interview rule is this, that if someone asks a question, pause. Yeah? You can calm down your nerves before you speak. That gives you sufficient time. Okay, let me kind of rephrase the question. Let me at least have the 4 bullet points. Because that's what, when you sit at the interview panel, our attention span is very tiny, about 10-15 seconds. After that, it doesn't matter, the candidate goes on talking for half an hour, we don't pay any attention. 4 bullet points.
But if your urge to speak is very powerful, we create blunder in professional life. Forget about Krishna consciousness. Even in the material life, we create blunder. In Krishna consciousness, every word we utter has to have some meaning. Has to have potential to change someone's life. Has to have potential to change your own life. Yeah? Because when speakers sit here and speak, people sitting out there, they think that, oh, this guy is so knowledgeable, he's talking so much and he knows Gita, he knows verses and this and that. But what they're really trying to do is to preach themselves. They're trying to convince more and more themselves about Krishna consciousness. So urge to speak is very powerful. Vachavegam manasah krodh. Krodh means anger. How do we kind of show our anger? Your bodily symptoms are there. You feel your body is heating up and your adrenaline is pumping and cortisol is pumping and you are in this position, you're going to attack. Yeah? And then your words come out. And soon after you've spoken, you go out and realize that, what blunder did I do? I did not intend to say these words. When you come, you never say those words. Yeah? But when you're angry, Krishna, what happens? Something comes out that we never imagined. And we regret. We regret and regret. But the problem is, words have come out. And that's it, damage is done. And it doesn't matter how much damage control we try to do, it's just impossible to damage control sometimes. It's impossible. And the people who kind of know you, that's it. Oh, this guy does this all the time. No one takes it seriously. Vacha Begam Manisha Krodha Begam. Jiva, tongue. Jiva Begam, Udar Upastha Begam. Udar means belly and Upastha means genitals. So if Vacha Begam is not controlled, means urge to speak is not controlled, our stomach won't be controlled, our mind won't be controlled, and our genitals won't be controlled. Forget about the rest of the things. Etan Vegan Yovishahet Athira. All these Vegas means all these potencies, if someone can control, Prithvim Shashishyat. The entire earth, all the people on this earth can become disciple of that Guru. And our dear Srila Prabhupada was one of those, or the unique, the only one we know. It is not that Srila Prabhupada did not get angry, but his anger was like Kamal Jaladhara, like droplet of water on a lotus petal. Came, disappeared without a trace. Next moment he is in samadho na vidiyate. He is in samadhi. He is in deep Krishna consciousness and talking about very elaborate topics, Krishna consciousness. So the person in Krishna consciousness, when they get angry, that anger is in the service of Krishna. So they utilized it, job is done out of that. Yeah? No attachment to anger. Yeah? In family life, like my dad was famous for his anger. So don't go near him, he will get angry. Don't do this, he will get angry. Yeah? Because he was attached to his anger. He was personified. What's the use of that? When people identify you with your anger, with negative quality, that's bad. Isn't it? That's bad. Vacha Begam, Manasah, Krodha Begam. We must control our urge to speak. Count from 5 to 1. Then speak if need be. Otherwise, keep quiet. Keep quiet. Srila Prabhupada He did his most prolific job when entire world used to sleep, and Srila Prabhupada would wake up at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and what he would do? He would dictate Srimad Bhagavatam. He dictated the purports of Srimad Bhagavatam. That book, probably for some it may take a lifetime to read. For some it may take entire lifetime or many lifetime to understand one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And here Srila Prabhupada would narrate the pastimes of Krishna in the deep meditation when entire world is sleeping. We should really be proud of Srila Prabhupada, what he has done for us. Without him, we wouldn't have access to Bhagavad Gita. Without him, we wouldn't be sitting here. We should really be eternally thankful for what he has done for us. Yeah, so from the verses 22 to 46, Krishna keeps quiet. Arjuna keeps putting forward. Even Krishna hasn't asked a question. And Arjuna here keeps justifying that why he shouldn't fight. Krishna did not utter a word until the verse 2, chapter 2. Sri Bhagavan Vacha, with Krishna starting to speak. Now the verse 42 is very famous. That Arjuna, after giving a lot of logics that why he shouldn't fight, then he comes to society, then he comes to family. So he gave the examples of heavenly planets, what will happen, and he gave the example of what will happen to the society and everything. Now he's coming to the family. Krishna, yeah? Krishna is very favorable to women. You cannot chastise and punish women. That's by the society. So now the Arjuna is trying to blackmail Krishna with this logic. That Krishna, if I fight and so many the men will die, and then what will happen? Now let's read the translation to this verse. दोषरतय कुलाग्नाम वर्ण संकर कारकय उत्साध्यन्ते जाति धर्मा कुल धर्मा शाश्वता. By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition, she's come to the family, and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. And what was the verse before? An increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of sub-caste family fall down because performances of offering them food and water are entirely stopped. So he's here trying to give logic of forefathers, society, what will happen. Now he comes to the family in the verse 42, that what will happen to the family. Family traditions are broken and the community projects won't take place, so people will suffer. Now, let's read the verse 43. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Yeah? So he's here trying to give logic that yes, the war is going to be, and so many people are going to be killed, and the family tradition will get polluted, and I may be held responsible, and I may go to hell. A lot of other people may go to hell. Yes, that is injunction in the Shastras, that if you break family traditions and don't uplift them in Krishna consciousness, or if they go downhill, you go to hell. That's the logic he's giving. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he praises Arjuna. Because these qualities you won't find in common people. If you have a chance to conquer and win over the world, the society will, bravo, you do it, we are with you. And Arjuna was most powerful warrior. And Srila Prabhupada says that he talks about Varnashra system and everything. Then in the next verse, alas, how strange is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Now he's trying to give a final blow to his logic. Yeah? That Krishna, we're going to kill our own kinsmen. Krishna, this is not right. We shouldn't be fighting. Yeah? Then in the next verse, what he says? He completely surrenders. To who? To his mind, not to Krishna. But now if you look at what he says here, better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, means Duryodhana, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. And Srila Prabhupada again praises him fantastically. He says, this is the quality of a devotee. Because he's thinking about the welfare of his kinsmen, his people, his society, countrymen. Yeah? In today's society, someone kind of does like this or says like this, they'll be, he's a saint. Yeah? He's a saint. Krishna is not speaking yet. Krishna is just listening to this gentleman. And let us read the purport of Srila Prabhupada. It is the custom according to Kshatriya fighting principles that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. So he knew that if he puts down his weapons, Duryodhana, his cousin brother, may attack and kill him. And he's willing to go through that, even though he was the most powerful warrior. Yeah? But he's willing that, let me be unarmed and I will not resist, and let Duryodhana attack me and kill me. So as per Kshatriya principle, that's bad. Because if someone is kind of shouting at you that come on and fight with me, being a Kshatriya you can't refuse. You have to fight. And here he's saying, I'm going to lay down my arms, let Duryodhana attack me and let me be killed. Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. So they were ready to fight. And here Arjuna is considering laying down his arms and let them fight and let me kill me. All these symptoms are due to soft-heartedness. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada being very kind of generous. But Krishna in the second verse, when he begins to speak, what does he say? Kutastvakasma lammedam vishme samupasthitam anare justam aswargam akirtikaram arjuna. Kutastvakasma lammedam. How this impurity has come upon you. Krishna did not mince a word. He just attacked him straight away. Shook his conscience. Yeah? Shook Arjuna's conscience. Come on. What the hell are you talking about? You're talking about, huh? Then he goes on to say next, many words. I'm not going to steal the thunder from for the next class. But it's beautiful how Krishna starts speaking very powerfully. And that's the way to talk. That's the way to speak. Srila Prabhupada, on contrary to how Krishna is doing, when he would meet very high-fi scholars, he would praise them first. Srila Prabhupada would praise them highly. You're a scholar, you're a philosopher, you are head of the church and all of that. And then Srila Prabhupada. So that's a needle. Once you have been praised, you are open to criticism. The reason Krishna straight away goes to the topic, because Arjuna was Krishna's friend till this point. He was his friend. Yeah? But soon, Arjuna takes position of a disciple, Krishna's tone changes. He then induces Arjuna to ask questions. Yeah? Here Arjuna taunt Krishna. How he taunted? Firstly, in the verse 45, let me die, I will not fight, unresisting on the battlefield. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the custodian of Dharma. Krishna is the custodian of Dharma. No one else is custodian of Dharma. It is Krishna who establishes Dharma. No one else does. Yeah? And verses after verses, but in the tail end of the first chapter, Arjuna starts taunting Krishna. Verse by verse, starting from 43 all the way to 45. Then he keeps quiet. In the verse 46, Sanjaya Vacha Eva Muktva Arjuna Sange Ratopasta Upavishat Visrujya Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasaha. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows, sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. Yeah? You remember the verses from 22nd to all the way to 28, 29, where Arjuna was demonstrating the signs of nervous breakdown. Yeah? When something suddenly happens, you have nervous breakdown, then slowly you start to compose your mind and you put forward your logics, and that's what happened to Arjuna, that he put forward his logic that why he should not fight. He tried to justify. So nervous breakdown, depression, and then denial, I will not fight Krishna. And he sat down, his Gandiva already slipped, yeah, in the verses before, and now he is all depressed, morosed, and thinking that he is very knowledgeable. And Krishna chastises him in the future verses. Pragya Vadam Shibhashushe, you speak like a scholar. You speak like a scholar, but you're a fool. That's what Krishna. Yeah, this is Arjuna. Because he's still a friend. Yeah, still a friend. Purport. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted by the lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows, such a kind and soft-hearted person. In the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Yeah? Just pay attention to the last sentence of the first chapter where Srila Prabhupada is giving purport. Yeah? Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. Yeah? How we judge if someone is really chanting the name of Krishna or not. How we judge if someone is a devotee of Lord or not. There is no litmus test that we can do. Yeah? But Shastras tell that their character, their behavior reflect that who they are. That the kindness, soft-heartedness has to be there. They have to be compassionate. Yeah? In the verses, in the 3rd chapter, in the purport to the verse 9, the Vasila Prabhupada goes into detail, saying that compassion to the body, sometimes we feel compassion to the body only. But without spiritual knowledge, is not that glorious. Yeah? So we have to have understanding of spirituality. That without just being compassionate to the outer covering, just like we have clothes. I'm drowned, Srila Prabhupada gives this example. There's someone is drowning in the ocean, and you grab hold of the person's clothes and kind of remove the clothes and the person drowned. What's the use of that kind of compassion? Yes, you're making an attempt to save that person, but you did not know who to save. Whether you saving the outer covering or saving the person itself. Similarly, when we feel compassionate only for the outer body, yes, we should feel, we should attempt. If someone is ill, we must treat. If someone is down, we must save. What is most important is to understand, and particularly more important in family life, is that we're looking after our children, family, wife, husband and everything. But if we fail to understand and know that they are the spirit soul, they are the part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that very soul I should be serving. So without that concept, our compassion to the mere body is just like trying to save a person's clothes who is drowning in the ocean. It's pointless. It's a spiritual suicide or killing someone. Because most relationships are kind of covered with a lot of ego, a lot of selfishness, a lot of envy and hatred. That's why there's so much agony in society. The person we think that I'm going to love, next moment you hate that person rest of your life. Such a miserable state of society. True or not? For the very reason because we, the person who we thought that we're going to love was external, just skin, bone, mucus, bile, pus, that's it. How long can you maintain the charm of that external? It's going to fade away. Look at my hair, it's all grey. And look at Khana Prabhu. Look at Khana Prabhu. No hope. Isn't it? If someone knew him about 30 years ago, nice, beautiful hair, shiny, curly hair and everything. So have you ever known him with curly hair, nice?
No, it's always been.
It's always been like that? Yeah?
So,
so your heart is not broken, seeing him like this. But someone who knew him, when he was growing up, nice hair, beautiful, husband-looking man, and here now he's in such a state. Yes? So when I went to India, someone showed me my very old picture. I had a nice hair as well, and I said, is that me? I'm like, hello, is that me really? Much younger, skin was, a bit shiny and stuff. Now, I just don't like my hair anymore. That's the state of this external body. That it's not that other people won't like your body. You yourself will start to detest. I never forget that I was in the hospital seeing a patient and went to see a woman who had just come back from Turkey with a lot of kind of jobs done in her body, and she was in such a state, pus oozing from every corner of her body. And I felt really, really sorry that Krishna has given you a body and you hate your body so much that you go on to cause so much damage. And that's the reflection of not the body but the mind, how distorted mind is. That I will be loved by people just by my external features. Just imagine, yeah? What's the use of pleasing that person by your external body who doesn't really know who you are? Yeah? The sadhus in Vrindavan, there's a sadhu, I listen to him sometimes. He says that the person who were with, all the time for last 60, 70 years, husband, wife, and family, children, and everything. When someone dies, people go and cry and take the body and, go to the Ganges and burn the body, and they come back and lament and everything. Why are you lamenting? The body is still there. Yeah? Same body with the bones and muscles and everything is there. The person you were loving is still there. So what has died? What has left? So the person who left, you never knew that person. But the body that kind of loved is still there. Keep it. Why don't you keep it? Mummify it, keep it, love it, or life. No one will do. And no one has ever done. So much nonsense about external body. So much nonsense. So the Arjuna, he was beautifully talking about external body and everything. Yeah? He was so much worried about external body. He wasn't worried about dharma. Yeah? He wasn't worried about dharma. Dharma of Kshatriya, duty of Kshatriya is different. And duty of a devotee is different. But when we have bodily concept of life, we forget. We have rules for family members different and rules for other people different. And rules for me different. When I'm alone, I'm a different person. When I'm with family, I'm a different person. When I'm in the office, I'm a different person. Yes. Externally, we may be different, but when there is a churning in the mind, yeah, a devotee, when alone, they are more serious with their sadhana than they are with other people. But if being a devotee, we show off to others, like we were reading at the self-realization of the day. Yeah, the science of self-realization. That when we are with others, we pose. That it was third chapter, kind of reading in the hospital, verses 7 to 9. That when we showcase, yeah, our internal and external don't match. When we are kind of in society out there, we show that I'm a very nice person. We talk very eloquently. Yeah, I'm very compassionate. But when you are alone, our true characters comes out. Yeah. But if you're peace with you when you're alone, if you're Krishna conscious when you are alone, that's the one the litmus test for us is. Yeah? People who are hypocrite, externally they will show they're very nice devotees, very nice people, very nice everything. Yeah? But when they're alone, or when they're with their loved ones, they're like horror movie. They torture. They torture themselves, they torture other people who they love. Yeah? That's the life. Yeah. But Krishna conscious person, more serious when alone. Their sadhana is like that. And their determination, their patience, that has to be practiced by devotees. Any questions, any comments? Yes.
So, when you talk about having compassion, do you say that real compassion is for the soul?
Yes.
And so sometimes I feel a sense of feeling towards what I've put the Param through and the things that I've done and allowed it to see. Would you say that's compassion?
Say again, please.
So certain things that I've done in life, I feel bad for what I've put and allowed the Param to see.
Yes.
Would you say that's compassion?
Yes. The compassion basically begins when we are compassionate to ourselves first. Yeah? If we're not compassionate to ourselves and just showing compassion to others, the duty half-hearted done. We have to be, compassion has to begin with ourselves. And that compassion is to identify that who we are. Unless we know who I am, yeah? My identity is not this body, my identity is not my hair, my eyes and bones and things, but my identity is that I'm soul. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Unless we have this understanding, at least theoretically in the beginning, yeah? That the realization will come later on, but at least we accept that I'm the soul. Because unless we identify with ourselves as part and parcel of Krishna, our compassion to others is half-hearted. It's impossible to show true compassion. We have not made attempt to understand who we are. Isn't it? Yeah? Yeah. So beginning of compassion is to be compassionate to ourselves. Unless we know. So for example, if you're walking in the street and there's someone who is in a very poor state of consciousness and you don't know their language and they're trying to help, there is no communication, is there? What is important is to understand what they need. And if they're lost, they're from India, they come to England and they're lost here, yeah? And they can't speak English, and you're trying to communicate with them. You wouldn't really identify that why are they distressed. And they're distressed because they're lost here, they lost their passport and everything, and they can't go back to India. Yeah? Exactly the same thing with us. The person we're trying to help, we don't understand their language. They're lost in this world, they're part and parcel of Krishna. We are entity of Goloka Vrindavan, Vaikuntha, and we are lost in this world. Yeah? Someone is coming and giving us some help and support, but not telling that what my identity is. How should I go back to Krishna, Godhead? Then its compassion is half-hearted. Yes, we should support, we should help, we should put them in some nice place and stuff, but the real compassion for that person would be to identify, what are they lacking? Ari Mataji.
And we said to serve, there's some people really, really angry or really strong material energy, how would you can show as much compassion as you want, but some people just get angrier and angrier, especially working in the NHS.
We shouldn't be preaching to them. The preaching to them is by our behavior and character. I'm sure we both work in the NHS. What happens is when someone is very angry, what are we taught to do?
You stay calm, call security.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. And that's what Krishna conscious person, when we go out to preach. Preaching is not just kind of quoting shlokas that Krishna says this, Krishna says you should do this, do that. It is our character and our behavior. Mari Gop Maharaj is very, very heavy on devotees' character. He expects from his disciples to be a proper gentleman. So we have to show compassion based on situation. If someone is mode of completely ignorance and drug addict, alcoholic, how are we going to show compassion? Give them prasad, speak to them softly and nicely. That will transform their heart. Isn't it? So we have to find the ways to show our compassion. Yes, internally we know that this person is the same as I am. This person has the same spark of spirit in his heart, what I have. In his heart also there is Paramatma in his heart. Yeah, we know that. And we should show our respect. That's why in our Sanskrit and Vedic society we say Namaste. Means I bow down to the Paramatma that is sitting in your heart. That's why we say Namaste. Nama Astu. Nama Astu. That's the Paramatma. Mukunda Prabhu, do you want to say something? Any questions? Shall we do Kirtan? Arati? Are we going to do Arati or just Kirtan? Shall we just do Kirtan? Or both? Okay, that's all.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanande
Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Bhakti Vaishnavi Safa Punya Vadavraja Kesva Kadanaiva Jayate Harinana Vidya Jayatitaika Yivere Vishayashare Yom Maesthavati Akikata Kakin Samsare Krishna Krishna Hare Jiva Joy Samsada Nilavai Sayanam Nuritapa Radha Krishna Gunaga Priti Hoshi Chitanaditai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhakti Ki Jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
That photograph is when Srila Prabhupada was going from Kolkata airport to Mayapur. And Yamuna Mataji cooked meal on the makeshift of kitchen. They dug a hole in the ground. She is an American disciple of Srila Prabhupada, was very young, possibly about 23, 24 years old by then. And Srila Prabhupada was going from Mayapur, from Kolkata airport to the Mayapur temple. And this was the time when Srila Prabhupada felt hungry, that he wants to have his bath and he wants to have his lunch. So they stopped somewhere, nowhere basically they stopped. And he went and had a dip in a pond. And in that time period, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they managed to gather all the equipments, the makeshift of chula, the kitchen and everything, and she cooked 3-course meal for Srila Prabhupada. That's called surrender to Guru. Right. My favorite pastime and photograph. Thank you. Thank you. Jaya. Okay, it's time for feast.